In the deserts of northwest Saudi Arabia, the largest construction experiment on Earth is approaching a decisive year. This is the Line, a mirrored city designed to rise 500 meters into the sky and stretch for roughly 170 kilometers across the sand. It promises housing for 10 million people, renewable power, and a life without cars or roads. When first unveiled in 2021, most observers dismissed it as an impossible dream. 4 years later, the dream persists. Excavation runs for kilometers, cranes stand ready, and foundations are beginning to form. As 2025 draws to a close, all eyes turn to 2026, a year that could determine whether the Line becomes a functioning city or remains a breathtaking vision in the desert heat. So what's happening right now? What progress should we expect in 2026? And why is this next year so critical for Saudi Arabia's grand plan? Let's take a closer look. The Line sits at the heart of NEOM, Saudi Arabia's multi-trillion-dollar initiative to reinvent how people live, build, and move. Its concept condenses Metropolis into 2 parallel skyscrapers of reflective glass. Inside, housing, offices, parks, and transport lines would layer vertically rather than sprawl outward. Promotional material describes a high-speed transit system connecting end-to-end in minutes, with energy drawn from solar, wind, and hydrogen sources. For Saudi Arabia, the project represents a national pivot toward technology, tourism, and sustainability, a visual statement of life beyond oil. But executing that vision has pushed every financial and engineering boundary imaginable. By 2022, drone footage confirmed that real work had begun. Vast trenches carved through the desert marked the city's intended route. Excavation continued through 2023 as fleets of trucks and heavy machines deepened the cut. Work camps, staging zones, and access roads appeared in quick succession. From orbit, it looked like progress. On the ground, costs were soaring. Analysts warned that NEOM's long-term ambitions might require trillions of dollars in funding. One widely circulated 2025 analysis even speculated a total approaching $8.8 trillion, though NEOM has never confirmed any figure close to that. By early 2024, the financial strain was impossible to ignore. This year marked a turning point. NEOM's longtime CEO and several senior executives departed, replaced by leaders with direct ties to Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund, PIF, the government's primary financing arm. The new team shifted strategy from building an entire 170-kilometer city to creating a proof-of-concept section that could stand on its own. That plan became known as the Mini Line, the first operational phase of the Line's overall vision. Located near the Gayal area of NEOM, this first segment spans about 2.4 kilometers. It contains 3 enormous modules, each roughly 800 meters long and 500 meters tall. 2 major landmarks are planned within it: a hidden marina, an entirely man-made waterway passing through the structure, and the NEOM Stadium, designed to hang roughly 350 meters above the ground, and planned as a possible venue for the 2034 FIFA World Cup, which Saudi Arabia will host. By late 2025, excavation at Gayal had reached full depth. Fleets of trucks continue hauling rock and sand, while hundreds of piling rigs work to prepare the foundations. All of this sets the stage for 2026, the year when the Line is expected to begin reaching upward. Until now, the Line has existed mostly below ground. The next 12 months are when it must show visible progress. Project engineers anticipate that vertical construction could start in 2026, revealing the first mirrored walls and steel frameworks above the desert floor. If that happens, it will mark the shift from excavation to creation, proof that the concept can materialize physically. Before that milestone, crews must complete one of the largest dewatering systems ever built, pumping groundwater away through vast networks of pipes and reservoirs spread across NEOM. Once stabilized, the site will require more than 16,000 foundation piles, according to engineering reports, compared to 192 used for Dubai's Burj Khalifa. Every meter poured in 2026 will represent years of planning and billions of dollars in motion. Each module carries its own schedule and technical challenges. Module 45 on the west side shows extensive piling and early concrete work. Engineers expect visible framework sections to emerge by mid-2026. Module 46, the central block, will contain the hidden marina and the elevated stadium. Its hollow interior demands complex steel reinforcement and new structural methods never attempted at this scale. Module 47 to the east remains in earlier excavation, with foundation pouring expected sometime in 2026 once dewatering completes. Surrounding them, worker villages, logistics roads, and storage yards continue to grow. Supply chains for steel, glass, and prefabricated systems are now being tested ahead of full-scale construction. The line is only one part of NEOM's expanding ecosystem. Off the coast, Oxagon, the project's planned floating industrial port, now shows visible harbour works and early infrastructure. Inland, renewable energy installations such as wind farms and hydrogen plants are under construction to power both Oxagon and the line. By the end of 2026, these systems are expected to connect, forming NEOM's first functional energy grid. The line's success depends on these supporting developments as much as its own foundations. Without them, even the tallest mirrored walls would stand empty. For Saudi Arabia, 2026 is a make-or-break moment. Visible vertical progress could demonstrate that the line's bold engineering is achievable. It could restore confidence among investors and show that the government's broader transformation plan is advancing. A lack of visible results, however, would invite deeper skepticism and financial pressure. Observers describe 2026 as the year when the project must move from promise to proof. The future of NEOM's entire narrative and the credibility of its $500 billion plus funding commitments may hinge on that shift. Even if the mini-line rises on schedule, another challenge remains: population. The plan envisions around 300,000 residents in the first phase. These pioneers would live and work inside the structure, testing its systems for comfort, safety, and sustainability. Attracting that many people to an experimental city in a remote desert will take powerful incentives. Engineers can build walls and trains. Convincing families and businesses to relocate will require trust that life inside the line will actually function. How that social experiment unfolds could determine whether expansion continues beyond the initial 2.4 kilometers. From space, the excavation trench already slices across the sand like a ruler-straight scar, proof that something extraordinary is underway. In 2026, the world will watch to see if cranes begin lifting mirrored panels, if internal transit tunnels take shape, and if Saudi Arabia's engineers can turn a concept into concrete. Each visible section will carry global significance, a signal that large-scale urban reinvention might still be possible, or that even limitless budgets have limits. 4 years after its announcement, the line stands at the edge of its most decisive year. Foundations are forming, surrounding projects are advancing, and anticipation for 2026 has never been higher. Whether the structure soars skyward or stalls in the sand, the line embodies the same instinct that has driven civilization for centuries: the desire to push beyond what seems possible. So, what do you think? Will 2026 be the breakthrough year when the line finally rises? Or will this remain the world's most expensive experiment in urban design? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you'd like to see how the line connects to NEOM's other mega projects, including the floating city of Oxagon, check out our next video right here. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.